This video provides information on the types of leases common in agriculture that property owners and tenants use. It was created by the University of Missouri Agricultural Business and Policy Extension Program as part of a series to help landowners and farmers better use agricultural leases. Almost anything used in agriculture can be leased. Most people think of land leases where a landowner gives the right to plant and harvest crops to a farmer. In addition, equipment used in crop and livestock production is leased. Buildings used to store grain or shelter equipment and animals can be leased. Breeding livestock are leased. Even permission to enjoy the land by hunting and fishing is granted through lease agreements. Tenants want access to land, equipment, buildings, and animals. The way the tenant compensates the landowner reveals much about each person's situation and needs. About 70% of leases are fixed cash rent, with the remaining 30% using some other type. Fixed cash rent is when the tenant pays a fixed amount of cash to the property owner for the right to use the property. The property owner likes fixed cash leases because she knows what the income will be. A fixed cash rent means the property owner does not have to be concerned about the management details of her property. Many tenants also prefer fixed cash rents, especially if they each have several landlords. With a fixed cash rent, the tenant can make most management decisions without consulting with the property owners. Record keeping is simpler because the cash rent payment is considered an expense for financial analysis and tax purposes. One challenge for fixed cash rent might be the timing of the payments to the property owner. Many landowners prefer to receive the entire cash rent before the crop is harvested. This can put a financial strain on the tenant. A fixed cash lease can be risky for the tenant. In a year with poor yields or poor prices, the cash rent expense can be the difference between profit and loss. This causes some tenants to seek other lease types. Flexible cash rent is an attempt to share the risks and benefits between property owner and tenant. When yields and prices rise, the rent increases. When yields and prices fall, the tenant pays less rent. Much thought needs to go into developing the flexible rent base and how changes in rent would result from yield and price fluctuations. The crop share lease also attempts to share risks and rewards between the property owner and the tenant. In a crop share lease, the property owner will get a share of the crop produced and must market that crop to get cash. Also, the property owner usually pays a portion of the inputs, such as seed and fertilizer. Sharing of input costs benefits a tenant who does not have a strong financial position to borrow money for production. The most common livestock lease is a share lease. The livestock owner provides the livestock and may share in some production costs. The tenant provides labor, management, and pays many of the other production costs, such as feed and veterinary care. Both livestock owner and tenant split the income according to their contribution. Different types of property owners might understandably choose different types of leases. A landowner who knows the farm and knows farming may choose a crop share lease to continue some involvement in the farm. A landowner who knows little about the farm and farming may want a cash rent for investment and tax reasons. Different tenants will also choose different types of leases. A beginning farmer may need or want the managerial and financial assistance provided by the landowner in a crop share lease. A tenant with many landlords and sufficient resources may want a cash lease that gives him maximum management flexibility. Whether land or livestock or equipment is leased, there are multiple ways the property owner can be compensated. There are potentially dozens of lease permutations. That is why it is so important to have written leases. This video by the University of Missouri Agriculture Business and Policy Extension Program introduced cash, flexible, and share leases. Each type of lease will be covered in more detail in other videos. You can also go to aglease101.org for several publications on these different types of leases.